Volcanoes rank among the most unforgiving natural formations on Earth. Any object or living being that falls into their magma-filled depths melts away and vanishes without a trace. Given this extraordinary destructive capacity, one might wonder, why aren't volcanoes being used for waste disposal? Could we realistically transport all our trash to one? And what kinds of dangers would that involve? Americans alone generate roughly 230 million tons of waste every year. Tossing all of it into a volcano might sound like the ultimate solution, but the reality is far more complicated. From the outside, volcanoes can resemble nature's own incinerators, powerful, self-sustaining, and endlessly hungry. In truth, they are unpredictable, extraordinarily dangerous, and in most cases, extremely difficult to reach. Would overcoming all these obstacles actually be worth it? Or would volcanic waste disposal simply trade one set of problems for a far worse one? The first challenge is finding a suitable volcano for the job. There are approximately 1,500 potentially active volcanoes around the world, but the vast majority of them sit well away from human populations, for obvious reasons. Transporting an entire nation's worth of garbage to one of these remote locations would present a monumental logistical and financial challenge. And even if we manage to get there, we might discover that the volcano in question isn't even the right type. The ideal candidate would be what geologists call a shield volcano, a slower erupting variety known for its relatively stable lava lakes and gradual outflows. These, however, are quite rare. Far more common are stratovolcanoes, which have earned a reputation for violent, explosive eruptions driven by the intense buildup of pressurized gas and magma. In short, they are about as far from an ideal dump site as one could imagine. Let's assume, for the sake of argument, that we manage to locate a suitable shield volcano. Before even thinking about the logistics of getting our trash there, consider the perspective of the first waste collector, asked to drive up to the volcanic vent. It would be a harrowing environment. Toxic gases, sprays of molten rock, and projectile boulders launched without warning. And the moment you start throwing things in, conditions deteriorate rapidly. In 2002, a team of Ethiopian researchers tossed a 30-kilogram bag of trash into a volcano and witnessed an explosive chain reaction. Lava lakes are inherently unstable. When a cold object strikes their surface, it triggers a violent sequence of eruptions involving pressurized, highly acidic steam. Scale that up to an entire country's annual waste output, and the results would be catastrophic. For context, rockfalls into Hawaiian lava lakes have sent molten rock shooting 85 meters into the air. The scale of a full-scale trash drop would be difficult to fathom. Even setting aside the physical danger, significant environmental problems would remain. Burning waste without industrial filtration systems would release toxic pollutants directly into the atmosphere. Certain materials, metals, synthetics, and especially radioactive substances would not fully break down in lava, meaning their remnants could be ejected during future eruptions and contaminate the surrounding landscape for generations. For anyone hoping to dispose of nuclear waste this way, that prospect is particularly alarming. Factor in the enormous carbon footprint of transporting millions of tons of garbage across vast distances to reach these remote sites, and the entire concept begins to collapse under the weight of its own consequences. Which brings us to the obvious question. If we are going to burn our waste, wouldn't it make far more sense to do it in controlled incineration facilities, ones capable of capturing the heat released and converting it into usable energy?